might be a bit too big for me.
Welcome in, Kuma Crew. I am, as always, Annakuma, and we're back to talk about a game that I didn't think was ever really coming out. A game that I thought I would hate. The origins of my nemesis series. Simon the Sorcerer Origins.
Come on! Stupid door! So, you want to fight, do you? And now, behold my...
Simon! I hope that noise isn't you wrecking our new house. Don't make me come in there.
dramatic entrance.
This game came out on October 27th, 2025, which is 32 years after the original and 30 years after the dreaded Simon 2. Simon itself wanted to start out as a Discworld game, and well, I'll get to talking about the originals another day. Origins is set before the first game, with a new art style, new gameplay, and the humour that the original Simon games could only dream of having. So, going forwards in this review, I will try not to mention my distaste of the original two games, because even though I have a very hate-filled relationship with them, I also have a fondness for the series for some reason. I don't know what it is, but I won't mention them in a negative way, or at least I'll try not to. The reason I will try not to is because Simon the Sorcerer Origins doesn't deserve to be weighed down by its past. Simon the Sorcerer Origins is genuinely one of the best games I've played in 2025. In fact, it is one of the most inventive and fun point-and-click games I've played in a long while. If you ever disliked Simon the Sorcerer before like I did, do not go into this game thinking about those games, because what you'll experience is an actual fun and funny game. For a start, we have this really beautiful art style, kind of comic-y, fully animated, and just absolutely gorgeous to look at. Tiny little details like the way that Simon lurches as he walks are ripped out of the original games to make the two characters exactly the same. Flourishes like the "you did it" noise being the opening note of Simon 1's music just proves that the people making this game genuinely loved Simon the Sorcerer for whatever reason. And making sure that the games come together to both celebrate the franchise and give new players a game they could enjoy regardless. Oh, and the opening song is also done by Rick Astley himself. Plus, they also got the amazing Chris Barry back to voice Simon, and only one person in my stream complained that it sounded like a grown man doing a kid's voice, which it kind of is, obviously, but he was the original voice, so it's nice to have him back. I didn't really notice, and in fact at first wondered if I hadn't got my facts wrong that Barry was doing the voice again, because it did to me at least sound very kid-like to begin with. So, being the origin story of Simon, this all happens before any of the other games. Simon has moved into a new house. The tutorial is very fourth wall breaky, which is just a thing in Simon games in general, but it's done very well, with your mum shouting at you from outside to teach you how to do things.
Simon, don't even think about trying to interact with random objects and attempting to pick them up.
You need to get your new bedroom door open, so there's a little puzzle to get you used to the inventory, movement, and everything else, which I liked. It was a well thought out tutorial that worked with the vibes of the game. When you finally open your door and you touch it, Sorted also touches a door on the other side, and poof, you are now in a cave and your adventure begins. You'll meet Calypso for the first time, who will give you a quest to get you back home, but you also kind of help him with the prophecy that Sorted is meddling with, and off you go on another adventure that Simon just doesn't want to be part of, really, but he has to be. We get the classic Simon robes, and off he trudges. We'll meet many new faces, a couple of old faces, and have lots of really random screens to walk on, though never as many random screens as the first game did with the forest. There's a great map with the gag that every time you put a pin in it for the fast travel, that pin then lands in the world. It never got old for me to see the pins landing, and I love the one in the academy that slowly got more and more graffitied as you moved on in the game. In fact, that was something I loved about the game in general. The world moved. After you finished certain tasks, different background characters would appear or leave. things would change just a little bit or a lot. You can't get through this door because someone has stood there telling you no. Well, you'll either have to figure out if it's a puzzle or just a fun way of blocking you out of a room you don't need to be in until the NPC moves. I personally loved this. Simon's world felt lived in, characters walked around screens, and there was always something to look at. It is something I always appreciate in any game, making a world that feels that people actually belong to it, and it's not just filled with emptiness, and Simon does this well. Most importantly, it finally, after all these attempts, gets the balance on the jokes done well.
Get to the point, I'm not getting any younger.
Simon is still a snarky kid, very Dennis the Menace UK edition. As in the Beano type Dennis, obviously Simon is also very British. That being said, he doesn't come over as overly mean. He isn't oogling women like he was in the originals. In fact, there's not that many female characters anyway. Gone is the edgy humor of the 90s that aged like sour milk, and instead it is the timeless snark and wit that will make sure this game holds up for generations to come. I said on stream, I'd love to see these people remake Simon 1 and 2, same stories but written with this humor and made in this style. This feels like the Simon the writers had always wanted, but put a timer on their game with everything they made him say and do. It felt like adults making a game they thought was going to be down with the kids, but they didn't know what the kids were down with to begin with. Gameplay-wise though, this is where the magic really happens, quite literally. You can use controller for the game, but I went with the classic point-and-click system, so Simon controls like a regular point-and-click character. You click on the screen and he'll move, double-click and he'll run to a spot, or I guess, lurch a little faster as he doesn't really run. Your cursor is reactionary, so changes depending on what you can do with any given hotspot. You can open your inventory by pressing the bag at the bottom of the screen, or pressing spacebar, and then it will just pop up in a nice little boxy style at the bottom of the screen. You can examine things with right click, or pick them up and combine them with the left click. Moving things from the inventory can be a little clunky, but overall the game works perfectly fine. When you talk to people, the options to reply in the bottom left. It isn't in the way or huge, and they do go transparent as they talk, but it's easy enough to pick the option that best suits you. Most puzzles are inventory based, though there are some logic puzzles thrown in there, and I really loved both the magic lantern puzzle as well as the statue puzzle just outside the lantern room. Both made you really think, and I enjoyed it. Now, I've only ever played Simon 1 and 2, so I don't know if any of the other Simon games ever did this, but Simon Origins gives you actual real magic to use as well.
It seems to be spelling out a word. Let's see. Flambergo? Wow! Did I do that? Incredible! With this great power comes great potential for irresponsible behavior. Flambergo!
You get 3 spells, Fire, Wind and Ice. You get them by performing tasks to learn them, and then they'll show up in your inventory just above the items. You can click on them to use them, just like any other item, or indeed you can click on them and use them with Simon to see him actually using them. I loved the addition of the magic. It gave another layer to all of the puzzles, as well as giving you nice roadblocks you had to overcome. These switches, for example, scattered around the magical school, had to be opened using certain magic. Until you learn them, you know you don't need whatever is behind these blocks. It gave a natural progression to the world and the puzzles. My only complaint about the game is that it is short. It is a decent length for a point-and-click game, but with so many cool mechanics, it is too short to really dive into them. For example, with the magic, you get to use them on a few puzzles, and the final puzzle is only about using the spells. But it felt like they were quickly introduced in the middle of the game, with at least one of them feeling like a second thought, and then you were running to the end game without any reason to use them again. But that is a tiny little complaint, and is it really a complaint saying I wanted more of a game? At no point does Simon drag, at no point does something feel like it doesn't belong. There were a few times I got a little confused and lost, but then just walking around and looking at stuff, I was able to figure out what I was doing. It has an easy to use hotspot detector, so if you do miss something and feel like you haven't, you can use it to figure out where you've gone wrong. For me, I did need it once or twice, but I feel that was because I was streaming and so eager to move on, whereas if I was alone, I'd have been much more meticulous in how I checked each screen. Overall though, the game is just beautiful, and I want to say this again before finishing. Simon himself has so many little animations. Just walking around, he'll move his head from side to side like he's looking at the world. He has so many idle poses, and the little cutscenes in the game are so well animated. The side eye that Simon gives so often is perfect preteen annoyance with the adults around them. The world looks great, and Swampling has had a glow up. Swampling, I will forever be your bestest friend.
You is my new bestest friend, Simon, by the way.
Simon the Sorcerer Origins was a delightful surprise at the end of a year full of fantastic adventure games. Behind the Drifter and on par with Elroy and the Aliens, it is in my top 3 games of this year that I suggest everyone go out and play. I have this as my About section on Twitch, so seeing a Simon the Sorcerer game release in 2025 and it be one of my favorite games? What more can I say to convince you to give it a go? And if you want to try it out, you can find the link to the Steam page down below in the description. That is all I have time for today, though. Before I go, I guess I should give a little update over here for what is happening on YouTube and for me going forward and into 2026. I feel we've done a great job here in 2025 to prove that I can get videos out. Whether they are good quality or not, I guess is a different thing, but I feel I've learned a lot. That being said, I am doing a partner push starting January 1st over on Twitch, and I need to really focus on growing as a brand, and spending a lot of time doing a lot of small videos over here wasn't really helping me in the long run. So I've split my channels up now, and I'm going to continue to do short reviews over here. My shorts are moving to my own clip channel, and I'll be working much harder in 2026 on getting longer form content like the Broken Sword Retrospective series out on my new retrospective channel. My Halloween video actually released over there instead of here, so go check it out. It's about Harvester, and that is a trip and a half. If you would like to follow any of these channels, or just follow the bear and support them, then links to everything about me are down in the description below. Social media, Patreon, and all of the YouTube channels that I now have. Till next time though, thank you so much for watching as always, and bye bye.